Are Vegito's clothes wrong in Dragon Ball Super? There are many people talking about Vegito's current attire, and I think we might have an answer for you guys. But here to discuss this with me is a newcomer to my channel. It's AzureAce. How's it going, man?
Hi guys, AzureAce here, and I am absolutely honoured to be on the channel here with World King Kanji for this discussion about Vegito's clothing.
You make it sound like a fashion channel. Like, I can't wait to get down and talk about Vegito's clothing. But yeah, seriously, guys, you need to really check out his channel and subscribe if you haven't already, as the guy's got some great content, especially regarding his Dragon Ball Lore 101 series, where he literally breaks down transformations, reason behind designs, story concepts, and in-depth detail, and has a lot of fun with it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get down to talking about the meat of this video. So first things first, we have to ask, do Potara Fusions necessarily use both characters' clothes in the fusion? Now, what's your kind of take on this, man?
I would think so, I guess, because when Kaioshin and Kibito fused, their clothing kind of fused together as well. Also, we have Zamasu Black, the most recent Potara Fusion. Goku Black and Zamasu's clothes have obviously fused together to give the Zamasu Kaioshin clothing with the black and red colouring of Goku Black's clothing as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's a pretty safe argument to have. I mean, a lot of people were kind of kicking up a fuss about Goku's clothing before, but obviously that was never like an official kind of thing because Goku only really imagined it. I know that's to some people that's really kind of taking it lightly and kind of going, well, they did design him, but yeah, you know, again, Toei haven't always designed things correctly, and we'll get more to that in a minute. I think it is a pretty safe bet to say that it does merge the clothings.
Yeah.
So with that being said, should Vegito technically have the same clothes that he has in the Buu arc, in your opinion?
Definitely not, because the one main reason being is that in the Buu arc, Vegeta obviously had his unitard. He didn't have his Cell Saga clothing with the armor piece that he has now in Super, whereas now in Super he has that armor piece on top of his unitard. So really, if you think about it logically, Vegito should have some form of armor, maybe half of Vegeta's armor, maybe his entire armor piece, but he should have some form of armor on his clothing, which he obviously doesn't have and only has his Buu arc clothing now, which is kind of weird. So yeah, it's a bit jarring, honestly.
A lot of people were kind of saying, well, you know, his armor did get broken, but I mean, these Potara earrings are, like, in essence, they are magical. And so, I mean, like, you know, Goku and Vegeta's clothes were absolutely ripped to shreds before they fused into Vegito the first time when they were fighting Buhan. And so, like, you can take it with a pinch of salt that the magic may actually heal some of the clothing. I mean, we've seen Piccolo do stranger things, and I'm pretty sure Potara kind of exceeds the power of Piccolo's magic. So, with that being said, I mean, like, we've got to kind of ask, why haven't they updated Vegito's clothing? For me, I kind of think it's probably down to marketing reasons and, like, you know, making it recognizable. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, it's definitely down to some sort of marketing. Most people just be there for the characters they've known and loved since their childhood. They'll know Vegito's design from the Buu arc, and so Toei will most likely be thinking, okay, we have a mass audience here, how do we bring them back into the series? Can we bring them back in with the fusion that they've loved since the Buu arc? We might as well keep his design the same as what it was in the Buu arc, just so they know who it is and know that the right person is coming back and not someone new, maybe someone different. I don't know, Gogeta, I guess.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I do think a lot of it has to do with... Because obviously when they showed him in the next episode preview, the idea of showing him in the next episode preview is... I do feel it was a late decision on Toei's part to kind of, like, they hadn't decided whether they were going to show him or not, which is why Masako Nozawa, when she did the overview of the next episode, I think that's the reason she never mentioned Vegito or anything, was because it was a last-minute decision to kind of show him in it. And because of that, I think it was like, as far as they're concerned, I think it was more of a, oh, well, you know, if we don't put him in the same clothes, then there's going to be an audience member sat out there somewhere going, is that Vegito? I'm not sure. I think it might be. And they don't want the ambiguity. I think they wanted you to know straight away, that's Vegito. And I do think that's a big part of it. But with that being said, I mean, there's always a chance we will see him designed differently. I mean, what do you think Toyotaro would do with this?
Honestly, given how much of a fan of Dragon Ball he is and how much he has changed Dragon Ball Super and how much differences he's put between the anime and the manga, I think he's honestly most probably going to change it, because we've also had loads of different things. We've had Super Saiyan God during manga chapter 13, I believe, when Goku was fighting Hit in the Champa tournament. We had a few differences, like the whole Mario Kart in the newest chapter of Super. So I believe, yeah, there's going to be a new design. Maybe not exactly what we expect, but Toyotaro, I do believe, will do a new design for Vegito.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now that Toei have already kind of revealed that Vegito is coming back, well, I mean, this is all provided that Vegito is actually part of Toriyama's notes. If this actually just turns out to be a fan service thing on Toei's part, there's no surprise he didn't get a new design. But I think if this is part of Toriyama's notes, which I'm sure it probably will be, Toyotaro probably will do, because he hasn't got a reason to try. Everybody will know straight away that Vegito is coming, so it's up to him to kind of capitalize that and go, okay, how can I deliver in a way that Toei didn't in the anime? And I think one way of doing it is kind of taking into account the fact that his armor should look different, his outfit should be different and should be more representing of what they're currently wearing. Personally, I'm still gutted that they're not still wearing the Resurrection F-Gis, because I think that would have looked awesome.
I would have loved for them to have returned with that, but obviously they haven't. Hopefully the whole next big arc will give us new outfits for them both.
But a next interesting thing that we could talk about is, why is Vegito's hair brown? Because whilst we're talking about the design of it, I think there's a lot of people out there that are kind of curious. I mean, did you notice that his hair was brown?
Yeah, definitely. His hair's been brown ever since Dragon Ball Z, although given it's a lot harder to notice in Dragon Ball Z, because the art style is much different. It's a lot older looking than obviously Dragon Ball Super does, so it's a lot harder to tell that Vegito has the brown hair.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's quite right. I mean, the art style, as you said, nailed it on the head in one. The art style has changed so much now because they actually started to put shading now into the darker parts of the hair. So usually in Dragon Ball Z, unless there was particularly a moment where they were trying to show lots of light, for instance when Goku first transformed into a Super Saiyan and the yellow lightning was coming down, he was getting yellow casts onto his black hair at the time to try and almost emphasize the fact that something was about to change. These days, as you can probably tell when you watch it, they tend to put light shading and darker shading into the dark hair. So the reason that it's kind of a bit funny is because Vegeta tends to get like light brown shading and very, very, very light, close to grey light shading in his hair. Whereas Goku gets grey shading in his hair. He gets like grayscale sort of type of shading on it. We can kind of assume that the reason behind this is originally when Toei didn't have the official colour palettes delivered to them at this point, they had to kind of guess what Vegeta's palette was going to be like, because obviously when they were looking at the manga, they only had it in black and white. They had no colour confirmations, which is why the first time we see him in Dragon Ball Z, he's got the orange armour, he's got the brown hair and everything like that, which personally I actually preferred, but, you know, don't tell Toriyama I said that. But I think it's one of these things where Toei, once they were told to change it, and as we all saw, when he did actually arrive on Earth, his hair was black, and he had the yellow and white armour on instead. Now, personally, I kind of feel like ever since then, you always see shading in Vegeta's hair of being brown at certain points, rather than being black. And a lot of people are like, I thought All Saiyan's hair was supposed to be black. Well, that is something that, of course, Toriyama kind of revealed after they'd already got the colour palette wrong on Vegeta the first time. And we were talking about this off of the call, and we were sort of saying maybe this is Toei kind of going, well, fuck you, man. Like, I designed him like that. Toei is sort of saying they wanted to have brown hair and whatnot, so they put very, very little amounts of brown shading in there. But that's kind of carried over until the design of Vegito, and so they've put part of their brown hair in there. But, I mean, what do you prefer? Would you prefer it if you had black hair, or what's your take on it?
You know, honestly, either way, I just love his hairstyle. I do kind of like it better brown. I think with Super's art style, it looks a lot better having brown hair than maybe having black hair. There's also, just to add on to the whole Vegeta's style, in Dragon Ball GT, obviously, he had brown hair in the Super Saiyan 4 state, which I do kind of mention, just shameless plug, I do mention this in the Dragon Ball Lore 101, what are Super Saiyans and how do they work? You can check that out on my channel. But yeah, I do explain that in Super Saiyan 4, they all have different shades of hair, with Goku obviously having the black, Gogeta obviously having the kind of crimson red, and Vegeta having the brown hair, which does kind of interest me a lot, given the different inconsistencies and such with the colour palette on his hair that we've had in the past.
yeah, as you say, I mean, like, you know, this is a pretty big inconsistency, and this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier when I made fun of Toei's inconsistencies in character designs, which makes perfect sense for why Vegito would have brown hair. But, I mean, you know, we can already see from the next episode preview that he's not going to stay brown for very long.
Yeah. Super Saiyan Boy Vegito. We've all been waiting for it.
Oh, yeah, too right. We have all been waiting for it. But I think that pretty much wraps up all the points that we wanted to talk about in this video. But as I say, guys, thank you very much for joining me, AzureAce. And, guys, if you haven't subscribed, as I say, go ahead, check out his channel. He's put a lot of time into it, and he deserves a lot more subs than he's got. So check him out.
So thanks, guys. Thanks. This is absolutely a great opportunity to be on here with World King Kanji. Can't thank him enough for this opportunity. So yeah, absolutely great video. Hope you guys did learn a lot about Vegito's style, different things about possibly Toei's thinking. Thanks for having me on here, World King Kanji.
Anytime, man, anytime. I'm sure we'll be around in the future for a few more. But, yeah, guys, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and feel free to... Wait, no. I fucked up my own ending. Okay, guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe to start your training on World King Kanji's planet, and we'll catch you all in the next video. I got there eventually. Bye!
Bye.